And we are live. We should be live at least. All right. Welcome to the stream. We got a whole lot going on. I see a lot of dislikes, but hey, I'm covering this because this is what I do. I'm covering news. This is what it is. I just want to see what's going on. I just want to see what's happening with this inauguration. I want to see all the ins and outs, the details, who's there, who's not there, how the media covers it. I'm curious. People are watching it, so let's watch it. If you don't want to watch it, I understand, that's fine. But hey, I'm here. What else are we going to do, right? Let's watch what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and get to it right now because it's in progress. I think right now they got Amy Klobuchar upstage. And they already spoke about the Capitol riot and stuff like that, of course. Oh, we got to go forward and we got to have unity. But hey, you Trump supporters out there were ridiculous. You almost destroyed the day. But we're going to go forward and we're going to have positivity and unity. Okay. So let's go ahead and get straight to the inauguration here. And like I said, this is going to be Amy Klobuchar speaking.
Biden.
We can go ahead and get straight to it. And I guess they're bringing in.
Gentlemen, please stand for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Oh, I'm right on time, ain't I? Now they're gonna swear in Creepy Joe. Hey, don't feel hopeless. Hey, this is just a bump in the road. We're gonna keep on going. Keep putting the pedal to the metal. You got midterms. You got 2024. This is going to be an eternal yard battle. It ain't gonna be over just right now because you got Biden going in there. So keep that in mind.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
This big Bible.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
So I see Hunter and his daughter. I forget her name, but that's his kids right there. And his wife, of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Okay, what's next? What are we doing? They go Mike Pence. All right. I don't know what's happening here. Everybody just sitting down, chilling. They go Slit Willie, Bill Clinton. Hillary's there as well, of course. They go Kamala Harris, the first black, Asian, whatever they want to call her, to be the vice president. They go Barry O and Big Mike in the building. The national anthem played earlier. I'm a little bit late to the show. The inauguration was scheduled to be at 12 noon Eastern time, but it started really at 11. I think that's Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, they already played the national anthem. I think Lady Gaga sung that. Right before I came on, she sung that. Ain't nobody storming the Capitol. Nobody's doing nothing like that.
My fellow Americans, a moment we have all been waiting for. it is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Now, is he going to talk here or what? What's going on? We'll see.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris, Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, and my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people, has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago,
here we go,
violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation.
Here we go.
We come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And I know
Do it, George W., Slit Willie.
And I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot
Look at the
be with
optics
us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service.
All this military. Crazy.
I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken. The oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far. But we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged
than you,
or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
You're not getting racial
justice. A cry for
justice.
survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
Not a very hopeful message. I want something uplifting. White supremacy.
To overcome these
death.
challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause. Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real. But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all are created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long...
I'm not feeling very uplifted. Give me a positive
Battle is
message.
perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature.
It's Ilhan Omar and Tim Minette.
Without unity, there
Her
is no
third
peace,
husband.
only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America when we've acted together. And so today, at this time, in this place, let's start afresh, all of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again, hear one another, see one another, show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire.
Oh, really?
Destroying everything in its path.
Oh, okay.
Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war.
Is that right?
And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured.
Truth over facts. That's what we gotta do, kids. Truth over facts.
My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than this. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as was mentioned earlier, completed amid the Civil War, when the Union itself was literally hanging in the balance. Yet we endured. We prevailed. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dream. Here we stand where 108 years ago, at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today, we mark the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national office, Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't tell me things can't change. Here we stand, across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand, just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever. To all those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you've placed in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. And if you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America. The right to dissent peaceably within the guardrails of our republic is perhaps this nation's greatest strength. Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
And I promise
Stop
you,
it.
I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did.
Let's see. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's...
Many centuries ago, St. Augustine, a saint of my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love that define us as Americans? I think we know. Opportunity, security, liberty, dignity, respect, honor, and yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth,
Bill
to
Sleep.
defeat the lies. Look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation. I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, or rural versus urban,
Okay.
conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And we can still disagree. My fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation.
Oh, Corey and Rosario.
One nation.
That fake couple.
And I promise you this, as the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks, all my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here, we all understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again, not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. And we'll lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
This is crazy. This is too many people.
A strong and
Overkill.
trusted partner for peace, progress, and security. Look, you all know we've been through so much in this nation. And in my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all of those who we lost in this past year to the pandemic. Those 400,000.
Is it 400,000?
Fellow Americans, moms,
making
dads,
up numbers.
husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them by becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country.
Ain't no 400,000, man. Cut it out. Making up stuff. You just politicize the stuff yet again. And we got too many
Amen.
people trying
Folks,
to protect this thing. Overkill.
This is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth, a raging virus, growing inequity, the sting of systemic racism, a climate in crisis, America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up, all of us? It's time for boldness, for there's so much to do. And this is certain. I promise you, we will be judged, you and I, by how we resolve these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion is the question. Will we master this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligations and pass along a new and better world to our children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe we will. And when we do, we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound something like a song that means a lot to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, at least for me, and it goes like this. The work and prayers of century have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, Then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, they healed a broken land. My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And I'll give all of you, keep everything I do in your service, thinking not of power, but of possibilities, not of personal interest, but the public good. And together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch but thrived. That America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our forebears, one another, and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
All right, so he got through it. Now, I wonder how many drugs they had to pump in his body to get him to get to that particular point where he was able to go ahead and get through that for, what, about 15 minutes? That wasn't even that long. Man, the optics of this are crazy. Look at all the troops. 26,000 troops, police, security, 26,000 of them. For what? Unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. This is like North Korea style type stuff. You know, they say that
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
They say Trump put us in Handmaid's Tale. They're looking like Handmaid's Tale right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Garth Brooks to perform Amazing Grace.
I might have to quiet some of this because they might give me a strike because it's music in general. It doesn't matter if it's sung or not. All right, Garth. Getting the big bag for this one. You're right about that. 15 minutes was like an Avengers movie, pretty long.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
They might not strike this.
I was
I'm gonna just quiet it a little bit because I don't want them to strike it. Might bring it back up here though.
I found was blind, but now I see.
Yeah, I turn the sound back on. It should be fine.
When we've been there 10,000 years.
It is like a funeral, yes.
Bright shining as the sun.
And it's like they're mad in the audience. They're sad in the audience. They're not even happy.
Less days to sing God's praise.
Yes, it is a funeral song.
Than when we first begun. If I can ask you to sing this last verse with me, not just the people here, but the people at home, at work, as one.
This ain't really a sing-along type song, you know.
Amazing
This ain't like Cotton Eye Joe or nothing like that. You know what I'm talking about?
grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
That was really strange. I mean, that was like a funeral song. Are they trying to send us a message like the America's dead? Like, what is the actual message there? I'm not really sure.
Hard not to be reminded of President Obama's singing that same song at the Mother Emanuel Church. A song that in our culture is as close to both poetry and prayer as you could possibly come.
Man, get off him. Get off his nads.
Let me introduce Amanda Gorman, our nation's first ever National Poet Laureate.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast.
Is this slam poetry?
We've learned
What
that
is this?
quiet isn't always peace. In the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is hours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid.
I don't understand what's going on here.
If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded.
Okay, I see.
But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power
I'm getting big time North
offer
Korea vibes.
a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the wind-swept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
All right, the woke section of the inauguration, well, another woke section of just pure nonsense. I don't know what she was talking about at all. I heard something about the Capitol, and that's pretty much it. The sun-baked South, what are you talking about, lady? With North Korea colors on. Let's move on to the next part. See what we got going on.
Thank you, Amanda Gorman. Now for our benediction, I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Dr. Sylvester Beeman, the pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Wilmington, Delaware, a friend of President Biden for 30 years.
Oh, I get the preacher man. Okay, yeah, get the gent cleaned off. All right.
As a nation and people of faith gathered in this historical moment, let us unite in prayer. God, we gather under the beauty of your holiness and the holiness of your beauty. We seek your face, your smile, your warm embrace. We petition you once more in this celebration. We pray for divine favor upon our President, Joseph R. Biden, and our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and their family. We further ask that you would extend the same favor upon our Vice President, Kamala D. Harris, and our second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, and their family. More than ever, they and our nation need you. We need you, for in you we discover our common humanity. In our common humanity, we will seek out the wounded and bind their wounds. We will seek healing for those who are sick and diseased. We will mourn our dead. We will befriend the lonely, the least, and the left out. We will share our abundance with those who are hungry. We will do justly to the oppressed, acknowledge sin, and seek forgiveness, thus grasping reconciliation. In discovering our humanity, we will seek the good in and for all our neighbors. We will love the unlovable, remove the stigma of the so-called untouchables.
Untouchables,
we will care for our most vulnerable, our children, the elderly, emotionally challenged, and the poor. We will seek rehabilitation beyond correction. We will extend opportunity to those locked out of opportunity. We will make friends of our enemies. We will make friends of our enemies. People, your people, shall no longer raise up weapons against one another.
Sylvester
we will rather
Beeman.
use our resources for the national good and become a beacon of life and goodwill to the world. And neither shall we learn hatred anymore. We will lie down in peace and not make our neighbors afraid. In you, O God, we discover our humanity. In our humanity, we discover our commonness. Beyond the difference of color, creed, origin, political party, ideology, geography, and personal preferences, we'll become greater stewards of your environment, preserving the land, reaping from it a sustainable harvest, and securing its wonder and miracle-giving power for generations to come. This is our benediction, that from these hallowed grounds, where slaves labored to build this shrine and citadel to liberty and democracy, let us all acknowledge, from the indigenous Native American to those who recently received their citizenship, from the African American to those whose foreparents came from Europe and every corner of the globe, from the wealthy to those struggling to make it, from every human being regardless of their choices, that this is our country. As such, teach us, O God. As such, teach us, O God, to live in it, love in it, be healed in it, and reconcile to one another in it, lest we miss kingdom's goal. To your glory, majesty, dominion, and power forever. Hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. In the strong name of our collective faith.
Yo, big time faith, for sure.
Amen.
Amen and a woman.
Please remain standing as the Armed Forces
Amen
retires
and
our
a
national
woman.
colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and remain in your seats while the President and official party depart the platform. For safety reasons, your ushers will release your section in an organized manner, following the playing of our national march, The Stars and Stripes Forever.
So was that it? Are we at the end? Was that a wrap? Okay. And it's a super spreader event. They got masks on, but everybody's shaking hands and hugging and whatnot. So super spreader at night. What's going on? I'm gonna turn that down a little bit because I don't want that to be getting me here. Okay, so you got Kamala in the purple. I think the purple is because they're trying to say that we're unified rather than it being red and blue or purple. But you know that's just bogus. This is all pageantry. This is all smoke and mirrors. It ain't nothing really real going on here. All right, they pretty much they got their marching orders from the people up high, from those that are really in charge, and that's what's gonna rule the nation. Okay, you got Jill with the emerald green on, something totally neutral, but you already know what time it is. It ain't really nothing else you can say too much. You know, this is pretty much what's going on here. All right. There go Kamala Harris with the white man, her husband, Doug Emhoff, you know, which is pretty interesting. It's always like that. People that talk about white man this, white man that, be married to the white man. Same thing with Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar was there with Tim Mynette. Now I did a video about her. Tim Mynette is her third husband after her actual real husband that she got kids with. And then the brother, she was trying to get citizenship, allegedly. And then she's using him for funding her whole thing with the squad because 70% of her campaign funds go to his company. So, of course, I'm coming right back to her. If you're giving 70% of your money to this man's quote-unquote consulting company, that's going to come right back to you, clearly. It's household money. It's called money laundering, but I guess it's legal because they got a marriage or relationship or whatever you got going on. You understand? A lot of these people run for office and don't even plan on winning because they're just trying to funnel that money into their pocket. You know, it's kind of a game at the end of the day. And that's what this inauguration was, a big game. They're talking about, oh, well, you can't be in crowds of more than 10. Yet they are in a crowd of more than 10. Obviously, mask or no mask, it don't even matter. I'm seeing a lot more than 10 people in one little area. So all this about, oh, everything got to be shut down is stupid. It's ridiculous. It's politically motivated. That's all that it is. The same thing that this inauguration was, stupid and politically motivated, period. All right. So, yeah, now they're just back in the building. Not really sure where they're going to go from here, but I guess that's, that was pretty quick. Now, they said it started at 12, but this had been going on since about 11. You know, they came out, did little preliminary things, national anthem, all this, that, and the third. Then, you know, Joe came out there, spoke for about 10, 15 minutes, and then that was that. So that's what's going on here. All right. So I'm just showing you guys people coming into I guess they're in the Capitol. I guess that's where they're at. You guys in the chat know more than I do where they are specifically. Did the preacher say dominion and power? Really? That's hilarious. That is hilarious. All right. So it is showing the outside here. No, you got Barrio. Everybody shaking hands and hugging. Super spreader, right? I guess not. I'll turn it up a little bit here. Yeah, all this is so dumb. And these masks don't work at all, really. It'll go straight through your mask. These ain't really N95s or nothing like that. It'll go straight through your mask. There we go. We got Mike Pence and his wife Karen Pence. The catching the kid in the background, I didn't see. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Double mask. So I'm seeing that a lot from people like in government that wearing 2 masks at once. They know things that they're not telling us. That's kind of what I'm getting. And it's been like that for a while. All that I ask is to tell us what they know, so we just not in the dark. Oh, if we wear 2 masks, it might make a difference. And they don't tell us that. They tell us whatever they want us to know, so then they can control us that way. And this is why a lot of us are rejecting what the government says. And we pretty much do whatever we want at this particular point. And I like how you have some governors like DeSantis in Florida that aren't abiding by the federal government and whatever they're trying to tell us. They're pretty much doing what they want to do to get this thing back on track. They're allowing their economy to be open. That's how it should be. All right, so you see Mike talking to some people. I'm not sure who he's talking to, because everybody that got masks on is like wearing a disguise. People said that Mike Pence was a traitor. Mike Pence couldn't have done nothing legally. Once the state certified the elections, it was over. It was nothing he could do more than symbolic and just ceremonial. He couldn't do anything to change the election. There go Nancy Pelosi, the wicked witch from the West, literally from California. All right, there we go. We got Barry O. Let me see if anybody else I notice. Oh, there go to, Barry O, of course, got to give the young lady a lot of encouragement. There go Lady Gaga with the giant bird on her lapel. Yo, see, she came out before I started rolling, and they wrote the national anthem. There go Big Mike right there with the purplish peak coat on. Purple, pink, whatever that color is. Yeah, that's a wrap for the inauguration. Yeah, it does seem kind of fake. It was a really strange inauguration. It was really strange. No people were really there aside from the quote unquote dignitaries. They could do whatever they want, right? They can have this event be pretty much big like this and it's fine. But if I want to have an event with a fraction of this amount of people outside, then it's a problem. Outdoor dining and stuff like that, that's a problem. But they can have this event. Everybody's hugging and, mask halfway on, halfway off and talking, and it's all good, right? Taking selfies and pictures. Must be nice to be a dignitary. You could do whatever you want to do, but a regular normie can't do that. That's how that works. Hunter Biden was there. I think his sister, Ashley, I think that's her name. She was there as well. They're right on stage with him. All right. And you know what? It's funny. I'm seeing some trolls in the chat talking about Trump still. Why are you talking about Trump? It's now we're talking about Biden. This is the next president. Get off Trump's nads. How about that? Move on to your guy. I want to see how much the media was talk about Trump after Joe Biden's inauguration. The media knows that Trump was a boon to their ratings. Joe Biden is going to be a nothing burger when talking about ratings as compared to Trump. You see? If they were to cover actual news and have a more balanced diet rather than just focusing on hating Trump, then they wouldn't be so obsessed with still trying to cover Trump even after he's not in office anymore. All right? They'll talk about Trump for the next 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20 years. All right? He could be 100 years old in the wheelchair. They'll still talk about Trump. And the same way they talk about him right now. All right? They go A-Rod and J-Lo. A-Rod looking like he bought 100 pounds heavier since the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see how the news covers politics going forward. Are they going to focus on Trump continuously, even though he's not in office, or are they going to focus on the guy that's in office, who is Creepy Joe? All right, we'll see how that goes. Somebody say ABL mad. Oh, I'm straight. I'm chilling. I got my Deer Park water. No ad. I'm over here chilling. I just want to see how the media covers it. Are they going to focus on Trump or are they going to focus on their man? Focus on your man. He's in office, right? Why not? I think it's ratings are concerned when you're talking about Trump. They'd rather would not even cover him. The funniest thing I see is when reporters go on Twitter and have 20 tweets in a row about how you shouldn't cover Trump. It's like, but you're covering him with these 20 tweets. And it's getting you engagement and likes and retweets and everything and followers for that particular purpose. How about you just tweet about your man and how great he is and how he's going to do a great job and how he's going to bring the country forward and all that good stuff, and have that give you the same amount of ratings and attention and views that talking about Trump would do. But they don't want to do that. So when they say they want to get past Trump, they really don't. They really don't. It's all a game. And I bet you a lot of the reporters that were out there talking about Trump probably voted for the man or did not want to see Biden get in there. That's why I was so sad in the audience. It was like a funeral. They don't want Joe Biden to be in there. But politics says that he got to be in there. The game says he got to be in there. You know, the higher ups say you got to be in there. So then they got to just comply. That's how that goes. All right. So there we have it. I'm going to see if anybody else is coming out here. So they got the car set up. I'm not sure who that's for. Is it for Barrio and Michelle or what's going on? I don't really know. Or maybe the car is there just to prevent anybody from trying to go up the stairs. To have 26,000 troops wasn't even needed. They could have just had the entrances guarded and it would have been fine. Have the entrances guarded, the fence, AKA the wall around the Capitol, and it would have been good money. Totally fine. Oh, they love Trump, Jordan. They love him, 1,000%. That's why they were so upset at this situation here. Pocahontas. All right, so you got Pence at the gate. So I guess Pence is getting ready to leave. So they got the car for him. Maybe that's what that is. I don't really know. The security is so tight. If we can have the security at the southern border, if we can have just a little bit of that at the southern border, we'd be fine. It wouldn't be no big, migration crisis or nothing like that. Look at all the security. Look at that. Let's have that at the southern border. A standing guard right there. Okay, so they got Pence and his wife, and then Kamala and her husband. The second gentleman is what it's going to be called. So, photo op right there, of course. They're going to put that all over the place. What's the caption for that going to be? Oh, the vice presidents together in unison while Trump is being a baby. He's in Florida. He didn't want to be here. He's a president of this unity. Even his own VP turned against him. That's going to be the narrative that is spin from this. All right. That's going to be what they do. All right. Pence is just trying to do good and show a little bit of positivity in the whole situation. And if Trump was there, that was going to be a big distraction. Trump shouldn't have been there because the media would have just focused on him and tried to attack him, and it would have just been a bad. He did right by going back to Florida. Trump is doing the correct thing. Pence is doing the correct thing too. But the media would try to paint it as it's some kind of rift between the two of them, and then they're fighting, and that's generally what's going to happen. All right. So there goes Pence and his wife with Kamala and her husband. They're just having a little a chit chat. And these masks are so dumb, you can't even really see what they're saying. And I can't hear them. My sound is low, but I can't hear them, even though my sound, which is a little bit higher than what you guys can hear. Second lady husband, that's hilarious. All right. So I guess that car was not for. Oh yeah, it's for them. So they're getting in the car right there. They're going on the other side. Oh, okay, I see. So he just walked her around to her side. He's getting in that side, and then they're gonna peel off. So I'm pretty sure that Pence and his wife, they get protection from Secret Service for the rest of their life or for a certain period of time, as well as Trump does. So even though there's an impeachment going on with Trump, even if he was to get convicted, I don't think that removes Secret Service protection. Well, I think if he did get removed, or if he got convicted, then he would not have the protection. But just by being impeached, that does not remove that. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys in the comments know more than I do. Yeah, definite funeral vibes, Blue Planet. That's for sure. That's big facts. Big time facts. Hey, Common Sense Productions. Tennessee is great, man. I love it. Tennessee is fantastic. It's beautiful place, low cost of living, nice people, next to no crime. Well, at least where I live. If you go to like Memphis, obviously that's like first 48ville. But if you go to like the outskirts of Nashville, maybe even in Nashville itself, you go to East Tennessee, Knoxville, Chattanooga, places like that. It's beautiful, man. I love it. You know, it was definitely a good move for me to make. Aside from my wife living here, aside from that, it's better than Virginia. Virginia, it's a lot of money in Virginia, a lot of jobs in Virginia. Like to say, Virginia's for hustlers. That's what the cool kids say where I'm from. It's a lot of money in Virginia. It's money here too, though. That's the thing. And it's a better overall way of living. And where I live is about an hour and a half from Marietta, 2 hours from Nashville. It's a good place to be. So when I gotta travel internationally, not internationally, but within the country, like if I gotta go to LA or New York, I can just travel to Atlanta, hour and a half, 2 hours, hop on the plane with a straight shot without too many connections and a low cost. It's easy. Straight to Hartsfield Jackson. Hey, shout out to the trolls in the chat with the blue wave. Hey, why don't you go to a Joe Biden stream and, have fun there. Have fun in the Joe Biden stream. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate your president rather than trolling. Or is it more fun to be over here with better people than the toxic, weird, all kind of different genders chat that the Joe Biden people kind of attract? All right. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not a whole lot more going on here. It's just more people talking and they're in the Capitol and they're just doing their own thing. It's not really a whole lot going on. So I guess that'd be a wrap for me. I'll be back again tonight live on my live show as normal, taking call-ins and doing my regular thing. But I wanted to cover this just because, matter of fact, let me get myself together. I wanted to cover this because I want to give a particular narrative and coverage that will not be given by the mainstream media. They're going to say how beautiful it was and how, unifying it was. I don't believe that this was beautiful or unifying. It had funeral vibes, big funeral vibes, real fake, a lot of pageantry, popping circumstance. So I'm covering it for that reason and to get a few laughs and whatnot. I'm not going to go anywhere. What the media want me to do is just to vanish. They say, oh, Trump's not in office anymore. So you're the Trump guy. You're going to vanish. I'll report news, period. I don't care who's in office. I'm going to report it. And I'm going to give you my point of view. And it's going to be the same point of view regardless of who's in there. So I'm going to be very critical of Joe Biden, of course, because he is on the left. Now, if he does something good, I'll give him his credit. Now, from what I saw so far in this inauguration, I'm hearing kind of like a doom and gloom type scenario. I'm not really hearing anything too positive. But if it is a positive thing that he does, I'll give him his credit. But I doubt that's going to be the actual case. But we'll see. We'll most certainly see. But I'm not going to go nowhere. They try to say, oh, cope and all. I'm not going anywhere, lefties. We're not going anywhere. They want to say, oh, you guys got to leave. You got to quit. Go on the ground. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to get amped up. I'm going to do a lot more this year and in the next few years to get us back in power. All right. So that's what it is. And again, I'll be on tonight live doing my live show. So any of the trolls hiding behind your keyboard warriors, you want to call me and have a discussion about whatever's going on, then feel free. I don't screen my calls. Anybody's welcome. You can agree, disagree. That's fine. Matter of fact, I like to debate. I like having disagreements. If you want to just stick to the emojis in the chat, then that's fine. That's great. But call like a real man or a woman and have a discussion, and we can do that. And everyone else, hope you're there tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to talk for about the first hour, and then I'll take calls the last 2 hours of the show from about 9 to 11 Eastern Time. So that'll be a wrap. Thank y'all for joining. I appreciate you guys. I may do another video before the show, but I'll definitely see you guys on the show tonight. And until that time, y'all be safe. I'm out. And peace.